Welcome back to the FTN NFL Draft Team Preview Series. We are just 2 days away from what should be a national holiday, the NFL Draft, and we are focusing now on teams that are making moves that may have changed from our initial meeting with the specialists from each team. In this case, we're going back to Chicago to talk Chicago Bears with my good friend Jacob Infante. Follow him on Twitter at Jacob Infante24. He's the lead draft analyst for WC Gridiron, does an amazing job here. And the Bears are someone, last time we talked to him, the trade had not been made. Now it has been. So we had to have Jacob back on hand. He's kind of going to give us a few minutes after so much going on. Jacob, how you doing? Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Mike. A lot of fun stuff going on from a Bears perspective. So I'm very excited to see what this weekend has in store for us. As fans, there's just a lot of discussion and a lot of buzz. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Quickly, Jacob, the Chicago Bears have become a very buzzworthy team here. We entered last year. We weren't sure about Justin Fields. Now I'm looking around. No Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Vikings, maybe regression. Kirk Cousins, are they going to draft a quarterback? Lions, of course, on the up and up. But here come the Bears. Talk about the genesis of the trade here, where they traded down, got a nice haul here, and really solidified their team. And they added some nice chess pieces here where they look like a top team here in the NFC, can really make a run. Talk about how the trade went down, because last time we talked to you, hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, so I think you're looking at the trade. I think Ryan Poles timed it incredibly well, especially with – you're looking at now Houston. Nobody knows what they're going to do. There's so much up in the air now about the number one pick in general. I think there's just a lot of confusion about the quarterback market, and that's really picked up recently. So it's aging really well for Ryan Poles to get such a massive haul for, to trade up for that quarterback, but also keeping in mind that there are probably going to be a top quarterback prospect or two who might be available at number 9 also. So I think that's especially interesting. And the fact that they got DJ Moore right before free agency started, I thought was tremendous, because you're not going to get better than DJ Moore out in the free agency market. He's a quality wide receiver 1, and those type of guys don't hit the market. That's just how it goes in today's NFL. So if you're looking at adding DJ Moore, that you have that at wide receiver. You don't need a significant investment there in free agency anymore. And then being able to use that money to allocate to different resources. I mean, especially they spent a lot of linebacker, and they should have one of the better units in the NFL at that position. So a lot of good stuff going on. And I think the timing of it all worked really well. And I think if they waited until a little bit closer towards the draft, they wouldn't have gotten DJ Moore. And because you're spending all this money beforehand, and then it becomes a matter of, okay, can we still afford DJ Moore? But now we have DJ Moore, and now what can we spend after that? Which I think that's a much easier way to go about roster building. So that, and obviously the draft picks they got, it turned out to be a really favorable situation for Chicago.
I'm doing, Jacob, a lot of best ball drafts on Underdog. Our FTN content for best ball is going to come out very, very soon here. And I find myself landed with Justin Fields an awful lot. I find myself stacking him with DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney, I assume you're going to tell me, moves back to sort of a more comfortable second wide receiver role here. Just a lot of domino effects here. Running back position now, you have some changes. Talk about the offense as a whole before we get into the draft here, how it looks pretty explosive. And you have now some players. DJ Moore's been somebody in fantasy here, Jacob, that we've been disappointed with, that lack of receiving touchdown performance. But you look at him, 55, 87, 66, 93, 63 receptions, 3 years before last year, over 1,100 yards. And last year actually got the touchdowns up. You could have gotten yourself here one of the top 10 to 12 receivers in the NFL. And now everything sort of falls in line here. Talk about this offense as a whole heading into 2023.
No, it definitely looks a lot better. And I think a big part of that comes down to weapons. Obviously, DJ Moore's addition, speaks for itself. And I think you get Darnell Mooney back. He missed some time to injury this past year, and Chase Claypool missed a little bit of time after he got traded. And he gets a full offseason now to work in the offense, to get to know the system a lot better, and to build chemistry with Justin Fields that he really didn't get to before. That's a really strong wide receiver trio, especially in 2023. And then you've got Cole Kmet at tight end, who's a solid starter. He's not elite by any means, but I don't think anyone's necessarily saying he is. No. He's a solid starter, and that's, pretty good at the tight end position, because there are a lot of teams with a lot worse. And the running back position, you got Khalil Herbert and Deontay Foreman. Not necessarily the most high-end investment, but I do believe that that's a solid running back duo. And if you're going by committee, having someone who is as efficient as Herbert was last year and someone who broke out for the Panthers in Foreman, once McCaffrey got traded, he was really good. I think not enough people are talking about that addition. So want to see a little bit more offensive line investment. I'm sure that's going to come at some point in the draft. But the offense around Justin Fields is looking a lot better, and I don't think it's elite quite yet. I want to see a little bit more investment in the offensive line, both in this draft and then going forward. But there are certainly pieces in place, and it's a lot better unit than it was last year.
Well, that's the perfect segue, my friend. So let's talk about this first pick here, number 9 overall. I have been on the Paris Johnson train. I think it's a perfect fit. This is a team in Chicago that cleared a lot of cap space here. There's questions where they're going to go defense. What are you hearing? Peter Skoronski possible. He's a guard, the short arms. We've all heard about that. But right now on DraftKings, Chicago Bears, first position taken, minus 180 to be an offensive lineman, plus 180 to be a defensive lineman edge, and then plus 750 for wide receiver. So I want you to tell me it's going to be an offensive lineman, and I want you to tell me it's going to be Paris Johnson. Go ahead. Give us your insight.
Yeah, so I think it probably will be an offensive lineman. Okay. I think the only way that it's not is if Jalen Carter falls to the Bears at 9, which, or maybe Tyree Wilson. I think those are the only two guys that might remotely fall that would make the Bears pick there at 9. Paris Johnson's my top tackle in the class. And I look at someone who's got all the physical tools. He's got the length, the size, the athleticism, the power, the determination, and just the character. He's a high character guy. So I'm very confident whatever situation he goes in, he's going to be a quality, not just player, but a member of the locker room too. So if he's there at 9, he's someone I'd be very comfortable taking, assuming someone like Carter or Wilson doesn't pick. If doesn't fall to number 9, then Paris Johnson's the guy that I'd want them to pick if they stay put at 9. The thing is from there is, do they stay put at 9? And there's been a lot of talk about them potentially trading down even further, whether that's moving up in round 2, outright acquiring a new second round pick, or maybe even adding some more future capital. They've got 2 first rounders next year, 2 second rounders in 2025. You got a lot to work with here. So I think that I'd lean towards them trading back right now from 9, depending on how the board plays, and also if Paris Johnson's available there at 9. But I think just in general, even if they do move back, you're looking at Darnell Wright out of Tennessee, maybe Broderick Jones out of Georgia if he falls. You mentioned Peter Skoronski, so I have him as a guard at the next level. He has the highest film grade of any offensive lineman I've watched this year. It's just the arm length. I think he kicks inside, and that demotes his positional value a little bit. So the Bears have Nate Davis and Tevin Jenkins at guard. Sure, you can maybe kick Tevin out to right tackle, but I think he's better as a guard, and he played really well there this year. And you can maybe move Skoronski to center, but then it becomes, how early do you want to draft a center? So I think offensive tackle is a bit more realistic of an option. They stay put. Paris Johnson will be a slam dunk if he's there. Broderick Jones maybe at 9, but a bit more of a trade back target. And then Darnell Wright, if he's there, I think would be a really good option in a potential trade back into the teens.
Great stuff here, Jacob. One last question as a follow-up, then I'll let you go here. I know you're busy. Carter, character concerns. I mean, we hear his agent talking about he's not dropping out of the top 10, but I'm hearing now that he may slide. You're saying that if it gets to 9 here, that the Bears are legitimately looking at him and they would not be concerned so much about the character concerns. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. No, I think that I feel pretty confident saying that Carter's not going to fall past 9. And if a team like the Eagles at 10 want him, then they're going to have to trade up for him because just generally from people that I know and, stuff that I've heard, the Bears do like Carter. And I think it speaks volumes about, the fact that we haven't heard outright that they've taken him off the board, and they've interviewed him. They've talked with him. They've visited him. Assistant GM Ian Cunningham had a lot of good things to say about Carter in the press conference he had literally just today. But I think all that adds up to the fact that he's not off the board for them. So I feel pretty confident saying that if he's there, he'd be a strong candidate, if not the top candidate, to be the pick. It's just a matter of where he ends up going. If he goes higher, like Seattle or Detroit or something like that, I think are the two bigger threats to prevent him from falling to 9. But obviously, an incredible player, very good athlete, valuable run defender, pass rusher as a 3 technique defensive tackle. I think that being able to meet with him and being able to talk with him and get to know who he is as a person, get to know his character, I think that's going to be massive. And I think the fact that we haven't heard that the Bears are out on him or that there aren't even any rumblings of that, I think that kind of indicates what they think about him, how they felt the interview went, and what they think about him as a player.
Folks, that's why I bring Jacob in. He's the only person to talk to you about the Chicago Bears on Twitter. Jacob Infante 24, Windy City Gridiron, Bears writer, covers the draft. Jacob, thank you so much. The Bears, to me, are a critical team. Pivot point, right in front of the Eagles, could trade down, making a lot of moves, bolster the offense. It was great to have you on a second time here. We can't wait. We're about 48 hours away right now when we're taping this from the NFL draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for a few minutes here. Appreciate it.
Of course, I appreciate you having me on.